It's Gem City Tonight with Andrew Mitakides, featuring Amy James and the Gems. Tonight's guest from the Dayton Beer Company, Patrick Thimons. From DPVA, Marilyn Balsamo. Yoga teacher, Katy Timmons. And comedian, Kevin Ruppert. And now here's your host, Andrew Mitakides.
Done that like 9 times. Thank you, and welcome to Gem City Tonight. I am your host, Andrew Mitakides. This is our 5th episode. We made it to 5. If we were a kid, we'd be walking and kind of talking and throwing fits, which is kind of what I do. So anyway, another St. Patty's Day has come and gone here in the Miami Valley, and this one, luckily, fairly fun, uneventful, and I stayed married. So one person clapped. That's this is it. One. Okay. This is true, she does. But as we move from St. Patty's Day right into spring, you know what this means. Outdoor festivals, farmers markets, and of course, allergies. We're always proud here in Dayton when the city makes a list. But there's some lists we don't really want to make. And this is one when we did it again. According to a survey done by Live Science, Dayton ranks 8th as the worst cities in America to have allergies. Yeah. And so the top city was actually, hold on. Oh, sorry. We're gonna have to do that again. Okay. All right. We can't do this joke. We got to move on. This is bad. See, I wrote that and I liked it, and then just nothing. Wow. The entire band got involved. It was that bad. All right. I'm no longer allowed to write jokes. Oh. Anyway, March Madness is upon us, as we all know. And once again, Dayton decided to hold the first 4th, which was exciting. I actually got to go to the second round of games. But before we all watched, we decided to burn some cold, hard cash and filled out an NCAA bracket for March Madness. You guys fill out a bracket? Yeah. No? All right, Dan did? No? Yeah? Did you just do one? Some people do like 10. Did you one? Just one? Yeah, I just did one. Mine's, as of today, the 22nd, I'm out. But who's always in? Warren Buffett showed up with his annual offer. In an interview with CNBC last month, Buffett said that anyone of his company, Berkshire Hathaway, to accurately predict the Sweet 16. This is what he's changed. No longer a perfect bracket. Just the Sweet 16. You get $1 million for life. $1 million. Imagine that. I'm, 34? I know I look 50. But 34, live to be 74, assuming the bourbon kicks in. That's $40 million? Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's some walking around money. That's keeping the lights on. But Buffett said all you have to do is get through the first bracket to win $1 million. Assuming nobody else wins, at the same time, you split the $1 million if they do. But Buffett went on to be so generous and said, well, I'm also offer $100,000 as a consolation prize, so for the person who does their best. Really? Can I get $100,000 for doing my best? That's what this is what the show is. Can I get $100,000? Ooh, are we using my name again? Hi, how we doing? So the thing is, last year he had to split the $100,000 between 8 employees. But the year before that, 5 people lost on the last game. I mean, I cheer and I have no money involved in this. Imagine $100,000. How pissed would you be? But just to give you an idea and keep this in perspective, in 2018, there were no perfect Sweet 16s among the 17.3 million on ESPN. You want to know why? Hey, Charlottesville. UVA decided to forgot how to play basketball and lost to number 16 University of Maryland, Baltimore. Like they came out and they were like, do we put it in the peach basket? Is this how this works? What is this? Is the grandma? They do one of these? I'm doing this on TV. How does this look? Is this good? Can we do one of these? One of those? All right. It's the thumbs that give it away, right? However, according to a mathematical equation that was done, the old one, you had a 1 in 9.4 quintillion chance of getting a perfect bracket. However, a professor found that in the new equation, picking a perfect bracket goes to 1 in 2.4 trillion. To put this in perspective for you, think about it like this. You have more of a chance of getting struck by lightning twice, winning the Powerball, and getting a payoff check from Michael Cohen. It's true. Don't lie. But that's not the most interesting part of the story. You want to know what it is? You know where the professor was who came up with this equation? Duke University. Yeah, the Blue, 19 national championships, the Blue Devils. Which actually, if you look Blue Devil up in the dictionary, the third term that comes down, which is interesting, not the 9th or the 10th, the third term. Blue Devil means, it's another term for delirium tremens, which is short for DTs, and for those of you who weren't born in the 40s and the 50s, that means the shakes from alcohol withdrawal, which makes sense if you've partied at Duke for a month, you know, after March Madness, you're going to have them. Just taking this econ quiz. Oh. I mean, it's a joke. I'd never been in an econ class. But not that I would know from college. You know, go Tigers, HSC. But speaking of college, by now many of you have heard of the admissions college scandal that rocked the news. The one I like to focus on is Lori Loughlin, who paid a decent amount of money to get her daughter into UNC. $500,000 to be exact. Or, you know, 41 Sinclair students if you're counting, to get her daughter into college. And the beauty of it is the mastermind behind all of this decided to turn both of Laughlin's daughters into rowers. Rowers. Forged their transcripts and paid off the rowing coach. Are you kidding me? The closest these trollops have ever been to water is when somebody draws them a bath. That is, rowers? Fencers would have made more sense. Underwater basket weaving would have been a better scholarship than this. Are you kidding me? Come on. Just think about it. $500,000. Now, USC in a year is about 50 grand, which means give or take 200 grand, you got 300 grand to play with. And I would fork that over if Lori Loughlin would never do another Lifetime movie. I'm fine with it. Not like she's going to do one anyway, so I can keep the coin. So we're good. I don't even know what that was. What would you? Oh, I see. Okay. I got lost in that one. And we're back with sports and weather. Another news that's been making headlines. A woman in Arizona tried taking a selfie with a jaguar, and not the NFL team, because God knows no one's taking selfies with them. Which is ironic, because I actually am a Jaguars fan. Go Jags. But after she was at the Arizona Zoo and crossed the barrier to try to take a selfie. The zoo, however, did say they sent their best wishes, however, sent some hella shade by tweeting out this, and I quote, "Please understand why barriers are put in place. Sending prayers to the family tonight. Smiley face." Wow! That's dicey. Not as bad. The Jaguar tweeted out, "That was for Harambe." Gone but not forgotten. Those in Cincinnati know my pain. But the funny thing is, as I was researching this is nothing new. Since Alexander Graham Bell Snapchatted his assistant Thomas Watson down the hall, this has always been an issue. In a recent study, they found between 2011 and 2017 that 259 people, I'm going to say that again, 259 have died trying to take selfies. In 2011, that number, just 98 people. Yeah, just. However, 2014 saw a spike and then came back down in 2017 to 96 people. Now, the most interesting part of this whole statistic is 72% male. And number one way they died? Shark attacks. Seriously? You're trying to take a selfie underwater and the rest of us are telling you to get a bigger boat? Wow. How do you hop in the water and realize that light doesn't attract sharks? I'm just saying. Have you not seen, I don't know, Jaws, Deep Blue Sea, The Reef, Open Water, Jaws 2, The Shallows, In the Deep, Mega Shark, Bait, Jaws 3, The Meg, Ghost Shark, Red Water, Jaws 4, Great White, Dark Tide, Shark Tales, or any of the Sharknadoes? She ran out of hair. But seriously, how do you not get this? Oh. But the interesting thing is, that's not the most fun thing that's happening with phones. We do selfies, but a woman decided to take it to a whole new level. There's an unsung hero that's running around the streets of the U.S. doing artistry unbeknownst to just the gods. We only know her by her twiddle handle. Twiddle? I've done that 3 times tonight. 3 times I've said twiddle. Her Twitter handle, and please feel free to look it up, Dick Run Claire. I'm going to say it again. She gets it. Dick Run Claire. What she does is she runs around major cities like Atlanta, Chicago, and places in Jersey. And she turns on her GPS tracker, so the path of how she runs looks like, well, penises. Yeah, she's been doing it for 3 years. You can actually look at Twitter. She does different shapes and sizes. She does some that are Jewish, some that are not, some that are Asian, some that are black. For those of you who don't get that joke, talk to the person next to you. And if you're sitting at home, just explain it to them. Yeah. I'm just saying, if Dick Runclair is actually watching this, and if we can get it to her somehow, because I know we're live tweeting the show, I just want you to know that if you ever come to Dayton, I will join you in whatever you want to call the first run here. The twat trot, the clam hammer half marathon, or my favorite, the rumple foreskin relay for life. Whatever you want to do, we're totally jumping in. We're going all in. Those were the best ones. That's the best part. And finally, coming out of Maryland, a Breeze Hill farm truck overturned, releasing over 8,000 bottles of ranch. Yeah. There was along the, I'm going to say this wrong, Little Conococheague Creek. Almost that right. A towing and recovery spent on the initial crash site 5 days plucking the bottles out of the near river. And reportedly, it drifted down onto other people's property. Now, the town that only has 398 people ended up ironically having 4,692 Uber Eats deliveries in 5 days. We got a great show for you. But first, Amy James and the Gems.
1, 2, 3.
I wish I had my hoverboard. All right, we're going to get into the show, but before we do, we've been talking about March, and we here at Gem City Tonight want to highlight that it's Women's History Month. Since the founding of International Women's Day in 1911 to 1980, when President Carter issued a presidential proclamation declaring the week of March 8th National Women's History Month, and then in 1987, Congress declaring Women's History Month. From Ruth Bader Ginsburg to Florence Nightingale, Marie Curie, Maya Angelou, Coco Chanel to Harriet Tubman. Women have been pillars, leaders, and trailblazers, standing up for what they believe. Margaret Thatcher once said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. Dayton is no exception. From our mayors to stores like Hart, Katie Vance, and Floral V and her team, to those fighting for women's rights, and even right here on the show, from our band leader to the ladies behind the scenes that make the magic happen. Not to mention the wives and girlfriends who put up with us to have us come and give us the strength to put on the programming you see here. We truly couldn't do this without you. So from all of us here at Gem City, thank you. And here's to you ladies. We'll be right back after this.
Heiny, tushy, badonkadonk, call it what you want, but talk to your doctor, because the American Cancer Society says colon cancer is a leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S. I was diagnosed with colon cancer, but I might have avoided it completely if I just had my keister checked. So get off those juicy doubles and go get your rump shaker screened so you can say you literally saved your own ass. Can we change padonkadonk?
All right, we're back at Gem City Tonight. Our next comedian has performed from the Broadway Comedy Club to Wiley's Comedy Club. He's one of our writers. He's hysterical. Please welcome Kevin Ruppert.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing tonight? Good? Awesome. Good to hear that. Yeah, so guys, here's the thing. I'm not very good at openers, so I'm just going to make like R. Kelly in a Chuck E. Cheese ball pit and dive right in. What did I say? It's topical. I should also probably apologize for my attire. I know I'm a little bit overdressed for the occasion, but I just came here from work, and you know what they say, you got to dress for the job that you want, and apparently I want to be a gay Jehovah's Witness. Seriously, what was I thinking with this outfit? I don't know. But no, I'm glad you guys are doing well. I'm doing good, aside from a couple of minorly inconvenient health problems. For example, I got a pretty bad case of acid reflux, and as a result, I've developed a dependency on those little acid tablets, which officially means I have the lamest drug addiction of all time. Like, pretty sure you're not going to hear any anti-antacid PSAs anytime soon. Like, remember kids, taking antacid is tum-to-tum-tum dumb. Or don't be the next American family destroyed by Rolaids. Probably not going to hear that. I also found out recently that apparently I'm allergic to the sun, which honestly I didn't even know this was a thing, but it's true. It's a condition called photosensitivity, and in layman's terms, it basically means that the source of all life on our planet gives me a painful rash. So I guess Annie was right. She said the sun will come out tomorrow, and you can bet your bottom dollar I'll have hives. That's a dumb joke. But we all have struggles in life, and we got to find different ways to cope. One of the things that I do is I like to binge watch documentaries. You guys enjoy documentaries at all, like on the History Channel? Yeah? I enjoy them quite a bit, and there was one in particular I wanted to tell you about. I saw it the other night. It was about the fact that before we sent people to space, we used to send monkeys. And there was one monkey that was really interesting. His name was Ham. And in 1961, we shot him up into space. He orbited a couple times, splashed back down in the Pacific Ocean. And in the documentary, they had footage of the aircraft carrier going out to, retrieve him. So they get out there, they fish him out of the water, they crack open the capsule. Ham's as happy as can be because he's a monkey. But the part that really upset me was the fact that a member of the recovery team goes, "Good job, little guy. You completed your mission. Now here's your reward." And he handed him one banana. Now listen, guys, I'm not trying to tell NASA how much they should pay their space monkeys. I mean, I'm not an expert in that subject, but I did play a lot of Donkey Kong Country growing up, and I'm pretty sure that one banana isn't sufficient compensation for going to space. I mean, seriously, what did Ham have to do to get 2 bananas? Colonize Mars? This is ridiculous. I mean, NASA has a pretty substantial budget. You're telling me they can't afford to get this monkey a Jungle Jim's gift card? It's nonsense. Yeah, guys, apparently this is what gets me animated. I'm a one-issue voter. Better banana wages for monkey astronauts. That's my thing. So coming out to my show at the end of the month, where I'll be passionately defending a rooster's right to cross-dress. Another issue that means a lot to me. But I think documentaries might be like the last bastion of quality when it comes to entertainment. I don't know if you guys get this feeling as well. But aside from Gym City Tonight, for example, I think TV is generally going downhill. And my prime example of that, no, Gym City Tonight, this place is awesome, but every place else is terrible. Yeah, you're welcome. But no, my prime example is that I sometimes watch that show, The Bachelor, with my girlfriend. Have you guys ever seen this before? For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a reality show where one dude dates 30 women, which, first of all, no thanks. But second of all, just to give you an idea of how ridiculous these people are, there was a contestant on the show recently who she was from Arkansas, and she pronounced the name of her own state as Arkansas. Now listen, Arkansas I can kind of understand. Arkansas maybe, but if you pronounce it Arkansas, I kind of feel like someone should throw a little rock at your face. Seems like an appropriate punishment. And we got some geography buffs here tonight, which I really appreciate. That's good to see. It's not just television. The quality of music is also going down, like contemporary music. And it's not so much the melodies as it is the lyrics, right? Like they just keep getting stupider and stupider. I'll give you guys an example. I heard this song the other day. It was by Nicki Minaj and some dude. I don't even know the guy's name. But there's a line in the song where this guy goes, "You an itty bitty bitch, you should work at Hooters." And I was like, is this guy giving career advice based on height? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Is he like, "And you a slightly taller bitch, you should be a dentist"? Like, this isn't the right way to assign occupations. In fact, one time I was at H&R Block and an itty bitty bitch did my taxes, and she did a pretty good job. You know, this is America. I feel like itty-bitty bitches can do whatever they want in this country. All right. Yeah, give it up for the itty-bitty bitches. They deserve it. Yeah, thank you, guys. I'll tell you guys about another song. This is by Trey Songz. A clever name, by the way. But there's a line, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he basically says, girl, I'm going to be so good at sex, you're going to think I invented it. I was like, okay, putting aside the grammatical problems with that statement, and the fact that sex isn't something that's invented, it's something you discover awkwardly at summer camp, it's still not a good pickup line, and here's the reason why. There's no invention that works well the first time, right? So even if there was a guy who hypothetically invented sex, he'd be good at it in the same way that the Wright brothers were good at flight. Like, great job, Wilbur, we made it 13 seconds. And by the way, that's a guy who invented sex. I don't know what the Wright brothers said. I actually think a better line for that song would be, girl, you gonna think I perfected sex after decades of research and development. And if you're ever at a bar near an all-female college with a great engineering program, that's gonna do really well, trust me. Whoa, I lost the crowd on that. That was weird. Not sure why. Nobody believes that I would do well at a bar. I think that's the main issue. But I'll tell you guys something else I was thinking today. This may be a slightly controversial thought. I think that people should be punished for committing murder. Hold for applause. But I also I also think that people should be praised for not committing murder. Because why the hell not? It's not like you're going to make the problem any worse with a little positive reinforcement. So I think you should find that person in your life who clearly has serial killer tendencies and be like, hey, Todd. It's usually Todd most of the time. Hey, Todd, did you kill anybody today? And if he says no, then be like, well, good job, buddy. Keep up the good work. You're doing an awesome job not murdering. Then maybe next time Todd is thinking about strangling a hooker or stabbing a hobo, he might have second thoughts, because now he knows that if he does it, you won't be proud of him. Okay, yeah, that was a little bit of a risk. It's not my best one. Here's something else. My license is getting ready to expire, and I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to renew it. I'm going to keep driving either way. Don't get me wrong. But here's what I realize. Even if you don't renew it, you get to keep driving until they catch you. And I'm white, so like, what are the odds? Oh, man. Sad but true. We're keeping it real at Gym City. Tonight. We're doing it tonight. All right. I'll leave you guys with a couple of quick thoughts here. Kind of an embarrassing confession. This morning I accidentally washed my pubes with dandruff shampoo. And yeah, it's true. Now I got a bad case of Selsun blue balls. All right, can I get a drum thing over there for that? Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, finally, I like to leave audiences on a joke that, is kind of a thinker. You'll go home, you'll think about it, and then you'll figure out what's going on. Here it goes. If Dwayne Johnson is The Rock, does that mean that gay midgets are Fruity Pebbles? All right, thanks, guys. You've been great.
Thank you so much. Put your hands together for Kevin Ruppert, everybody. We'll be right back. We're going to be we'll be both at the Barrel House on the 28th.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll both be performing, so yeah, come out to that. Find more details at Gym City tonight. We'll be right back.
My mother used to say, a long time ago, whenever there would be any catastrophe that was on the air, she would say, always look for the helpers. Because if you look for the helpers, you'll know that there's hope.
Nice. Welcome back to Gym City tonight. So we always do a fact, always from the ladies at Dayton Unknown. They provided this, by the way. And if you're watching the show, I know it's not going to be live at this point, but we've been live tweeting the show. Bethany, you out there? Yeah. She's been live tweeting the show. So I don't know. What is it? Hashtag Gym City tonight? Is that what we're doing? Oh, we're going to get tweets. Dan, you're right. We're going to get tweets. But we always do a fact. And this is your fact for today. Around this time of the year in 1913, Dayton was being ravaged by a terrible flood. It's actually true. Not like I made that up. I don't know why I said that. But it led to the loss of hundreds of lives. In his family's boat, an actual 24-year-old David T. Chambers rescued over 150 people before losing his life in the process. Chambers Street near UD and Woodlawn Cemetery is actually named in his honor. So if you drive through and see that, it's named after that heroic man. So that has been your Dayton Unknown Fact. Thank you, ladies. Yes, you can clap. This is history, people. All right, so every now and then they let me off my chain and let me out into the streets in a little segment we know as a Greek in the Streets.
Today we're going to be at Dayton Beer Company. End up talking to one of my longtime friends, talk to some of the staff, take a tour, and hopefully get a taste. Hey, Gem City tonight. We're actually here with one of my dear friends who I've known since elementary school, actually, Patrick Thimons. We're going to talk a little bit about Dayton Beer Company since he's been here since basically the start. We're going to find out as much as we can about this jewel that's downtown. We're talking about Lost Tunnels. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so when they first started that, that was Pete's idea. A great idea, by all means. It was your more experimental recipes.
Define experimental. What was different?
Well, like with our wheat, we didn't have a regular wheat beer. We had a fruited wheat series, and we'd change the wheat every time that it would come out. With our stout, we don't have a regular stout. We have the deep sea diving, which has sea salt, brings out that caramel chocolate sea salt kind of theme that you're looking for. With our Mexican lager, it had mango and sea salt, which was outstanding. It had a great mouthfeel from the mango. Salt caught you on the back end. Was a perfect summertime beer. So just kind of dabbling in those experimental recipes. Brewers got to have some fun, and we found out what would work for the DBC line through the Lost Tunnel line. So it was a great thing to do.
So when it comes up with the recipes and so forth, is it collaborative? Is it all Pete? Is it like how does that process work?
This is all Pete Hilgeman. He comes up with all the recipes. He oversees all the brewing. He is the brewmaster. John Wiley and Mike Powell are awesome at what they do. They are brewers, but they go by the recipes that Pete comes up with.
Nice.
Then they also, something that John and Mike are very good at is, with any set of brewers, the quality of their beer is going to be based on understanding the idiosyncrasies of their system. And John and Mike really understand those idiosyncrasies well, and they take those recipes that Pete gives and they work with them in their system.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So what's your favorite beer?
My favorite beer is the Gem City Light.
Okay, I think it's what you're holding right now, I think.
It is, absolutely, yeah. It's a true Pilsner made with real corn. We mill it here, none of this corn syrup that you've been hearing about and things like that.
Right.
It's light, it's crisp, it's refreshing, and I can drink 2 of them and drive my vehicle.
All right, and finally, what's next for DBC?
From now here forward, we're really focused on connecting with the communities. We've hired 2 new reps within the past 6 months. We're hiring another one in the next 2 weeks. He's going to do a great job too, but it's all about getting out in the communities and really connecting with the people that are actually purchasing our beers, educating them on those beers, letting them know that this is a local product that we stand behind.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Pat's actually going to take us backstage to see what the magic is here at Dayton Beer Company and take us on a tour. So stick around.
Here we go. What's this?
Open that. Oh.
Wait, what?
Hey. Oh, did I not say? It's kitten season. Every spring, cats get busy. Too busy. Thousands of kittens end up in shelters who might not make it out alive because there isn't anyone to take care of them even for a week. You were born to be a cool foster auntie. Kittens are way cuter than babies. No offense. You're a little dirty, but kittens don't judge. Foster a kitten, because it's harder to give a baby back. I've tried.
All right, welcome back. Now it's time to take a tour of Dayton Beer Company. Pat?
So this is where it all starts. This is the mill right here. And we got a guy, his name's Mike Powell. He does CrossFit, I swear, for a living on the side. And so he lifts these 50-pound bags above his head and throws them in here like they're nothing. He can even lift half barrels above his head. I've seen him do it. After we're done with that, it's actually augured up to a vessel on the other side here.
Where do you get your, corn for that?
The corn, I don't know exactly where it comes from, but I do know that it's real corn, which I'm sure you've seen all the commercials, and the big thing now is corn syrup or rice or whatever. We use real corn here.
Why is that a big deal?
I mean, I don't know why it's a big deal, but scientists seem to think that corn syrup is gross for your body.
Touché.
But you know, I think that in any recipe, it's important to use the best ingredients possible, right? If you want the best product, I mean, Papa John's might not do it, but they're right when they say better ingredients, better pizza.
Touché. So then what's next?
So after that, when it's augured up into this vessel, these grains come in here into different proportions. There's different types of grains and things that go into the process, but we actually auger it over to this mash tun. And we put the grains in equal proportions with hot water that's coming in at the same time. So the whole goal here is to actually take the sugars from those grains, that corn, whatever it is, that Pilsner malt maybe, take the sugars, solute them into the water, okay? Once they are soluted into the water at that high temperature, there's a false bottom here, and all the grains are actually collected down there. So the next stage of the process, we actually move it into this boil kettle.
So I got a question. How many gallons or barrels does this hold?
The barrels are, this is a 15-barrel system, okay? So to kind of break that down, we make our smaller batches in 15 barrels, right? And our larger batches are 30 barrels. So when we do that, we actually have to do 2 batches, that's a double batch, to go into our 30-barrel fermenters, right? Now, think of these barrels back to when you were in college and all your buddies threw in on a keg.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That was a half barrel. Maybe you got Natty Light, maybe you got Beast Ice. Ringing a bell yet?
No, I think I chose to forget it.
I'm sure you did. But essentially a 30-barrel system, a 30-barrel fermenter, you know, you'll lose a little bit, but you'll end up with close to 60 of those kegs out of a 30-barrel batch.
All right, so can we go up here?
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's do it before we lose our balance.
So this boil kettle is where they actually add all the flavors, your hops, things like that. So it's interesting because they add these hops at different times throughout the process. And the earlier hops are more for your aroma, the later hops are more that bitterness that you're going to taste.
So like the sour I'm drinking would be later.
The sour that you're drinking is actually a completely different brewing process with wild fermentation and things that are so over my head I can't even get into it.
Okay.
You know?
All right. So then to behind me?
So after we finish adding these different flavors, this liquid is very hot. So we run it through this chiller down here. And this chiller cools it to a temperature where we can move it into these fermenters. And when it goes into these fermenters, it's coming in at about 70 degrees, okay? And that's the temperature that it's safe to pitch that yeast into the beer.
Okay.
So the reason we're pitching that yeast into the beer is that yeast is going to eat that sugar, and that's going to be your fermentation process. The yeast eating the sugar creates the alcohol. So once the fermentation process is complete,
so this is the one I want to get into.
You want to get into it?
Yes.
That would be a spoiled batch.
Oh, all right, never mind. All right.
So after it's fermented, we move it to a bright tank. This is a bright tank right behind you. What happens in here is these contents are under pressure, yet we have an air stone that still feeds it CO2.
Okay.
So you're soluting that CO2 into the liquid. It's about a 48-hour process. Once the beer is carbonated, we either keg it or we have our canning line right over here. So this is the keg cooler, which this is where we actually keep all of our kegs, store them before we sell them. We keep some next door as well, but let's see what we've got going on in here. Oh, snap! We're partying!
He caught me.
He did. But I just want to say, man, imagine in 8th grade, we were to be here, you're running a brewery, and I'm running a late night show.
Man, I'm doing something here. I'm not running it, but I'm having fun.
It's awesome. I want to thank you so much for having us here today.
I appreciate that, man. It's been my pleasure. Anytime.
I'm going to take you up on that.
I hope you do.
All right. This has been Pat taking us around Dayton Beer Company. So thanks. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Repeat after me. Apple, table, penny.
Apple. Red.
When you tell people he has Alzheimer's, but he's in a clinical study, it's
not so hopeless.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know, it's like, I hope we can just hang in there and maybe they'll find something, you know.
Ask me again.
What season is it?
It's when all the leaves down and...
I know it's there, but I can't get it.
Yeah.
And it just kills me.
I remember watching Dad interact with the kids and thinking, geez, in 5, 6 years, will he even know who they are? 1 in 10 Americans over 65 has Alzheimer's disease. Learn more today at brightfocus.org.
All right, we're back with Gem City tonight. My next guest is a huge influence in the city, has a great project going on she's going to tell us about. Please put your hands together for Marilyn Balsamo. I never know what they're going to play when people come in, so I think what was that, Rune? Why that?
I don't know, we liked it.
We like her, she's nice.
No.
At all, like she's lovely.
You know the song.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the show. So you gave me a mouthful to say. It's the Dayton Philharmonic Volunteers Association.
Yes.
Okay. So how did you get involved with them?
Well, as a teacher, I taught in Dayton schools for 35 years, and while I was a teacher, the DPVA brought in a program called Spark, and I worked with that program for 15 years, where I had musicians come into my room, and they would do lessons that we had worked together on for second graders, and they would teach the second graders some skill that they needed that was from the curriculum. And it was really fascinating to watch them come in and interact with our children. And then once a year, Neil Gittleman would come in and talk to our children. And it was just, I kept telling the kids, this is so important. This is so valuable.
Now, I know who Neil is, but our viewers don't.
Neil Gittleman is the maestro. He is the conductor of the Dayton Philharmonic Orchestra. And I told the children, you're very lucky to be able to have this gentleman come into your school. And it was based on this DPVA. I didn't know who was paying for these programs. I just was getting the benefit.
Right.
And the kids just loved it. And I did it for 15 years. And when I retired in 2015, I said, how can I help? You know, and one of the ladies, I went to a meeting and she said, come to this. And so when I went, I kind of jumped in with both feet because I am so into music. I don't play a musical instrument.
Doesn't matter.
But I'm so in awe of anyone who does, and I want my children, our children, to know about musical instruments. And studies have shown that children who have music in their lives, it improves the brain function. And this is why I think it's so important that our kids have music.
I think I'm the exception to the rule, but yes.
Yes.
I think I'm the exception to the rule. I play a couple instruments and, here I am.
Not well.
So what is your official title? What do you...
Well, right now I'm working with the Dayton Philharmonic Volunteer Association. We're doing the Showhouse, and I am working as the musician's chair, but I also am doing a little dual thing, helping to do publicity, because it's, it's like if you throw a party and you don't invite anybody, what's the point? And
See?
so we're trying to get people to understand how wonderful this is, how they need to come and support our kids. And I am kind of doing publicity, but my other job is I'm getting the musicians. Anybody need to come and play? Musicians.
I like how she's selling it and I'm not. She's already pushing it. This is good.
Yes, we have musicians who come and take an hour of time during the Showhouse, and they play anything they'd like. It's just the importance of playing music and letting everyone, and people will be touring the house and they'll hear this wonderful music.
So you beat me to the next question. Let's talk about the house. So this is a house that DPV, I keep screaming,
DPVA, yes.
Decides to pick, and it's the old George and Hazel Leland house?
Yes, it's the George and Hazel Leland house. They try to pick a house that has some kind of historical significance to Dayton. We started out with the Cox mansion, and we've done different houses like the Amherst Terrace. We've done the Reich Estate. A few years ago, we did the Walther home, Salt Walther. Last year, we did something, or 2 years ago, we did Boss Kettering's office downtown. It was the Delco building, and they were converting the building into luxury apartments, and there were 17 apartments. And we had different designers designing these apartments, and it was really wonderful. I really enjoyed that one. It was a departure from what we normally do, because we usually do a family home.
So this is the 40th anniversary for DPV.
Right. It's the 40th anniversary. It's our 22nd house.
How do you pick the house? Like, is there a process or a board? Or?
I'm not really in that, but I do know that they try to find a historical house, and we are always searching. Like when the last one's done, we start looking. This particular house, we try to find somebody who has a significance in Dayton. George Leland was a very important part of Boss Kettering's.
That was my next question,
yeah, he did. George Leland was he was a self-taught mathematician, and he learned how to do these things. He was going to be a teacher, and then he decided he didn't like teaching, so he got involved with making small motors. That was his main thing. And I think Boss Kettering really wanted him to come help, because Boss Kettering knew he wanted a starter for the car, but he didn't know how to bring it down to the size they needed. And that's where George Leland really helped. And Leland was responsible for perfecting small motors. The one that was most interesting to me is that some of you are too young for this, but when they had the cars, when you were pumping gas, and the gasoline was at the top and it had to come down, it would just trickle down, just by gravity. Well, they wanted to pump that gas, but it was dangerous because they would use these pumps and they would blow up. They had to find one that
small side effect.
That's a little problem. So they decided that they would get, and the underwriter laboratory went ahead and guaranteed that this would be something that could work, that it wouldn't be dangerous, and he had lots of patents. He had over 150 patents. He also was responsible for doing the rotary solenoid. Now, I don't know much about that, but I do know that it was used in a lot of machinery.
It's important, I'll tell you that.
It's in space, too.
Yeah, it's important.
Yes, and so, this man was really, really smart, and he was really, really talented in the things he could do, and he just, he was a wonderful, significant person in Dayton. I just really like the idea of him.
So somebody else owns the house now.
Yes.
So how do you got together with them, and I thought I read some artists or designers in Cincinnati and Dayton.
Yes, there are 20 design firms that come in, and they're working with the owners, Barbette and David Spittler. And the Spittlers bought the house, and they bought it with the idea of remodeling, or not, they call it renovating it. They're renovating the house, and then we approached them with the idea, if you'd like us to come in.
If you want us to.
If you want us to design these rooms for you, if you're willing to open your home after it's designed and let our patrons go through and see what you've done, what the designers have done, we'll be glad to do that. And that's how we get that's our biggest fundraiser.
Nice. And when is that?
The show will open May the 3rd, and it will run through May 19th.
My dad's birthday, great date. Good call.
Yes. And Mother's Day's in there too, so it's a really nice thing to be able to do in May.
So how to find out about more information? Go to
The Dayton Philharmonic Volunteer Association.org, dpva.org. And that's where you can buy your tickets online. We have lots of events that are planned for that 17-day. And I have musicians in the rooms playing. So
nice.
It's a little bit of everything.
I ask everyone this last question. If you're going to eat, drink, hang out anywhere in Dayton, where are you going?
Where would I go? Oh, dear. I don't know exactly.
Right on the spot. I wanted to do it.
Yes, well, I usually like anything that says pub in it.
I knew I liked her. I knew I liked her.
If it's got pub in the name, I'm there. So I will go to the pub wherever. If it's got pub, I'm there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for coming and talking to us.
Thank you very, very much.
All right. We'll be right back with more Gem City Tonight.
I need tushy badonkadonk. Call it what you want, but talk to your doctor because the American Cancer Society says colon cancer is a leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S. I was diagnosed with colon cancer, but I might have avoided it completely if I just had my keister checked. So get off those juicy doubles and go get your rump shaker screened so you can say you literally saved your own arm. Can we change padonkadonk?
All right, welcome back. My next guest is a fantastic person. Know her husband well, and this is the first chance I really get to meet her. Put your hands together for Katy Timmons. I like how you namaste'd me right out of the gate. That was.
I like
nice.
your view.
It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
That's a good view.
Tom Gillum took the photo, and I initially.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, I initially just wanted 4 photos, and Eric from On the Go Prince was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do more than that," and this is what he came up with.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And we couldn't be happier with it.
Yeah.
So let's start with the fact that I've known your husband since 8th grade.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I'm ever meeting you.
Yes.
So how did you? I want to get in a little bit. How did you two meet?
Oh,
Before we get to the nitty gritty.
It's a classic love story, one for the ages.
You guys met at Casablanca?
We met at a bar, yes,
Okay.
yes. He was wearing his finest ripped t-shirt.
Attaboy.
Yes, and offered to buy me a drink, and I accepted, and the rest is history.
Nice. I just wanted to put that on camera so he can be mad at me later, so you're welcome, Pat.
He made me laugh, so, you know, that's...
Yeah, he always has a good smile, so.
Yeah.
So getting into you, so yoga instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how did you, full-time job?
No, this is just my part-time job.
Okay.
So.
How did you get into instructing yoga?
I got into it because I was practicing. And
How many years have you been practicing?
Oh, I'd say about 5 years now, and I've been teaching for the last year. But I just was really into it and was wanting to get other people into it and just saw the benefits for the stress relief. And, everybody always associates the flexibility and all of that stuff, but it's really not, that's not the most important part of it. I really found the benefit for reducing the stress and just kind of getting to know myself a little bit better, observing what I think about and maybe working on those mental shifts. We're all pretty judgmental on ourselves and just learning how to stop doing that, Right. So, and I wanted to help other people find that,
So I know that there are different versions, and I'm going to say some of these words wrong, like vignettes.
Vinyasa.
There, see,
yes.
I knew I was going to say it wrong. Sounds like an Italian appetizer.
Yeah, it does.
So what practice do you like, or do you pick from each, or how do you teach?
Yeah, I really love to teach beginners. Like, that's my favorite. I like to teach, I wouldn't say I'm quite like all the way gentle where we're just stretching at a really slow pace, but I do go a little bit slower than a typical vinyasa style, which is breath to movement. But I would say I'm a turtle vinyasa. I'm like a slow vinyasa.
I have a couple drinks. I'm a slow vinyasa too.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
It is not easy to do after a couple drinks.
You sound like you're speaking from experience.
I am. I've tried it before. Like, oh, that'll be fun. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's one of your funniest, challenging, most interesting moments while teaching?
I think it's about to happen.
All right. Well, what she's referring to is the fact that when we come back from Gem City tonight, she'll be teaching myself and our drummer to do a little yoga. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back, and this is about to get really interesting. Katy is going to take me through some yoga poses, but Lord knows I'm not doing this alone. Hey, Adam.
Yeah?
Yeah. Come on down, my friend. You're the next contestant on We're Doing Yoga.
Oh, boy.
Yay, Adam. Yay for trying new things.
Yeah. All right. Let's have you in the center because you're.
Me in the center. I'm the teacher. I take my shoes off because that's what the cool kids do.
All right.
I want to be cool.
You let those piggies be free. Like, you can't
God.
really get zen with your feet in prison.
Yeah, you also can't get knocked. Prison? Whoa, okay.
Yeah,
Prison.
I think shoes are like foot prison. Bring your hands to heart center and just even out your weight in both of your feet and just start to really come to that centered place. Go ahead and reach your arms up really tall here, like actively reach towards the ceiling. And as you reach away from your feet, press your feet really hard into the floor. Take a big breath in. Forward fold, breathe out. Good, let your knees bend. Yeah, like how low can you go?
Oh, that's a lot of popping.
Doesn't that feel good?
That's a lot of popping.
Oh,
So good. I'm not getting up here. I'm doing this show from here
It's
now.
like Rice Krispies. Did somebody get a bowl of Rice Krispies out?
Oh, that's the old guy over here.
Okay, now slowly roll all the way up, one vertebrae at a time. Then reach your arms back up. Good. And then come into chair pose. So as if you want to sit back in a chair, start to come into a funky little squat. Maybe pretend that you've got like a balloon between your knees and you don't want to pop it. Squeeze your leg muscles here. Really activate your legs. Yeah. Now take one more big breath in. Fold, breathe out.
Are we breathing through our nose, mouth?
Whichever you want. I don't micromanage that part. Slowly roll all the way back up.
We're going to have to bleep these noises.
Yeah. And then I want you to step your left foot back.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and let your back heel be down so your back foot's at an angle. Yeah, and then stack your right knee over your right ankle. And then reach your arms up, warrior one. Yeah. And I like to think about this in two ways. I like to think that everything from my hips down is pushing into the mat, and everything from my hips up is really actively reaching to the ceiling, like my hands want to get as far away from my back heel as it can. Good. Take another big breath in. Warrior two, open your arms up. Right hand in front, left hand in the back. And you might have to take your stance out a little bit longer because you opened your hips up.
My floor manager's doing this too.
I know, she's lovely too. I wish she was here with us. Your gaze is typically over your front middle finger. Yeah. And then reverse your warrior. Just reach your right hand up, reach your left hand down, but keep that right knee stacked over your right ankle if you can. Yeah, so that lunge doesn't change in your legs. Good. Take one more breath here. Back to warrior two. So just really gentle movements. Good. Yeah. Take another inhale. And then just step forward back to your mountain pose. All right, step your right foot back this time. Let it be at an angle, whatever that is for you. And stack your left knee over your left ankle. Okay, reach your arms up, warrior one. Again, make that action where you're reaching your hands up to the ceiling away from that back right heel. Continue to push forward over that left ankle. Take another breath here. On your exhale, open up to warrior two. The breathing is the hardest part. Everybody thinks the pose is.
That's the hardest part?
Yeah,
Really?
the breathing is.
I could fight you on that.
I knock you over.
Yep, you really could.
Yeah. Reverse your warrior, lift your left arm up to the ceiling and really actively reach your right hand towards the floor. One more breath in.
Is my mic off?
Back to warrior two. I have never taught a bigger baby how to do yoga before.
Wow, you heard it right here on Jam City tonight. Wow. Wow.
If he can do it, you all can. And then step forward. Good.
Tell us about the fundraiser.
Fundraiser, it's the yoga for the YWCA. It's at Dayton Beer Company the first Sunday of April, April 7th. It's 11 o'clock to 12, 11 a.m. to 12.
Clarify it.
Yes. And it's $10, and all of the $10 goes to our local YWCA organization. The YWCA is the Shelter for Women.
There you go.
Yes, yes. So they do great work over there. They obviously provide support for survivors of domestic violence and sexual abuse, but it doesn't stop there. They provide an assortment of education programs for these women to really empower them to move forward, as well as being huge advocates for social justice. So I really believe in that organization, and unfortunately we need them, but they do good work, and I really hope that everybody else sees that and comes out and supports it.
So you did one a few weeks ago. You know,
Yes.
This one. Is it a recurring thing?
We're hoping to, as long as people continue to keep coming out and stay after and buy a beer.
Okay.
That's a big kicker, you know, don't just roll up your mat and leave, you know, stay, hang out.
Where do we find you?
Grateful Joints Yoga, that is my personal studio that I have most of my classes at, and then I bounce around too. So if you just find me on Facebook, Katy Timmons, I'll be your friend.
I can't change the conflict, but I can change the people. I can change myself. And if the people see the change in me, which is what the inner peace gives me, then that rubs off on them, because I believe that spirits transfer.
One love, one love.
Hey, yoga was no joke. I want a big thanks to Patrick Thimons, Marilyn Balsamo, Katy Timmons, and Kevin Ruppert. It was a great show. And remember, Dayton, you're not alone.
And you never will be.
Have a good night.